And just to clarify for the recording, we don't have forums, so we're not calling the meeting to order, we're just doing informational. Okay.
Yeah, but we can serve as points in case other members have questions.
Yeah.
Before the report. It's not just official, it's.
Okay. All right, so this page is always going to be here, or some version of this, to remind everybody like what the priorities were that the commission set forth. And I am just really excited to say that, you know, a couple of them, one, at this point, you know, we can do a half check off the list because it passed, and Deb can do a further update on that. The launch and complete the innovation projects. Alyssa will update on idea to biz. We'll also update on the small wins or small bets pilot that was in the commission's report. And we included a short update from George, and I can share a little bit more on vacant city property.
Is there someone in the chat that's joining? Is that chat?
Oh,
Yeah, it's talking to us. Okay, so small wins fund development. So this is a potentially, you know, 5, and we were scrounging around in our budget for up to $15,000 for a community-driven project towards economic development, economic well-being in a community. And what we felt would be a good place to start was from some organizations who had trust built among their community members already, for which we had some relationship or a partnership. So we've reached out to a number of those different organizations, went, you know, pretty far down the path with both Susanna Wesley and KKV, and they kind of just had too many different things going on. So their readiness was not where we needed it to be in terms of executing funds in this fiscal year, which means before June 30th. So our community equity team has had a really strong relationship with Safe Haven in Waipahu. And they have a number of different projects, including a job fair that they'll be executing next week at Waipahu High School that the community requested, both for youth and adults in the community that are looking for summer jobs. So Work Hawaii and the American Job Center is bringing at least 30 employers there for that. But something that the different kind of steering committees, one is Micronesian and one is Marshallese at Safe Haven, really wanted to see was a community garden where they could grow, pick and utilize some, you know, vegetables, produce, etc., from a garden that they could have at the Safe Haven property. So there's a couple checks or payments we just signed last week that are going out to the community. We are doing this not only in partnership with the CTAR Urban Gardening Team, which we've developed a good relationship with through the Stations of Abundance, but the Waipahu Middle and High School students are going to be a part of this project in terms of bringing like the propagated plants and other things that they'll be putting in the ground here. Is there anything you want to add on that, Deb?
No. Lovely project.
It's a great project to like, it interweaves the relationships and the progress that we've made with Stations of Abundance with the community that is along the rail line, but wants something in the places where they go and spend their time and meet with other community members. That's project number 1 in Smalllands. This is Deb.
Greg and Eliza and Melanie. So one of the priority number 1 for the commission this year was the local business procurement preference, which, as you remember, we started thinking if it could be at the county council level, and it's not because it's state procurement. So we had both the House and Senate bill. And the Senate bill actually passed in its first session, which is truly unheard of, actually. There was no opposition. It looks a little bit different than the way we started. So we were involved in the negotiation, did a number of meetings with a variety of lawmakers. But had, I think, great support from our commission, from Honolulu, put in some heavy lifting at the end, including the last day negotiations to actually get the thing out of conference. It was going to die, and so they helped wrangle it into bizarre. Guys, and that was bizarre. Yes, we also now have a Hawaii Ireland business something or other as a result. That's what one lawmaker wanted. Like, in order for this to happen, it was to get Chef Quinlan's bill around a Hawaii Ireland something. So that has happened also.
Where's Honolulu?
Honolulu Collective and Collaborative, I can never remember which is their C3 and their C4. Melly is actually on that board as well. And so that's Josh Wish is running that organization now, and Matt Karlberg is doing a lot of the lobbying. He was working closely with us on it, and they're mostly kind of were a spinoff from the HEC group and
that's right.
focused on affordability pieces for middle, for families. And so I pitched them last fall on this as and their board selected as one of their priorities as well. So they supported it. Kapolei Chamber was very actually instrumental and involved in it. So I know Karen's very excited. So it has been sent to the governor for signature. We did put in a formal request for a signing ceremony and have not heard back yet. But we'll let the commission know if there's a photo op with the governor. And at the bottom, it's what it does. So it's to give local vendors a small preference on sealed proposals. And then there's some administrative rules. Greg and I are meeting with the folks at SPO actually this week about the admin rules to roll it out. And then I think
It's a simple paper.
it's a test of 51% of labor and also DCCA registration.
Also
capacity. So it's a Hawaii-based company and it's local. And then I think it's to see, I think we should do some data tracking, like, does this actually, is it just a nice sounding thing, or are we seeing more local businesses win a state and county level bids? And if not, to come back and tweak it. That's not what we talked to those lawmakers about too, like, because they were like, is 5% enough? And we were like, we're not sure. Let's start with that. And then if it doesn't seem like it's enough.
I feel like there should be national views too, but there's not a whole lot of serious stuff like this. You think that this could be?
There are, I don't know, it's not an unheard of thing, which was part of our selling when it first came out, like the AG's office was like, is this legal? And you're like, this is done in lots of
Texas,
places.
California, not across the whole country.
It's more at a regional level than almost, it's a mix. I have a whole write up on which states have it, and they're all a little bit different. Some it's ours is across the board. Some it's just certain industries or certain regions, so that they all look a little bit different. But
It doesn't stack for the CPAs that have their own part.
no, it wouldn't stack. But it's not unheard of, which is why we were saying we should be giving local businesses some sort of preference. So goes into effect July 1.
No opposition, first time hearing.
No opposition, got it out of conference, which was a minor miracle. So
It would be really great as a follow-up to have maybe info session or online something like class about this, and just let businesses know that it's a thing now.
Yeah.
So maybe with the
Alyssa
chambers.
does the monthly SBA workshops out in Kapolei that they lead, and annually they've been doing federal procurement, training people to, become federal contractors. How do you do it? But I think if we can add this is a part of the stepping stone, local, state, and once you're in the mix, maybe you're ready to go federal too. So we have many partners that we could get trained up on this. We probably want to see the admin rules first. And we would also like to socialize it in the city. So our, fellow departments that are doing sealed proposals under 10 million be aware of what we're trying to accomplish here, what the commission was trying to accomplish with this, so we're excited.
I think the one thing that would be materials, if there's some way that the agency that offered or selected the winner said whether this made a difference or not.
Hmm.
They don't have to disclose who won, but at the end of the year, they track like, it was 5 deals that triggered this win or
Yeah.
not.
Maybe that's something you can
Yeah,
try to
that's
figure out how
something
to do in the.
That's a good point.
A lot of it's closed bidding.
Yeah, it's close, but you
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily know,
Yeah.
right?
Anonymize end of year reporting, then you can
Mhm.
track just. Does that also would let us know whether they're 5%?
Yeah, but just to know, like, did it do anything or just sound nice? Yeah.
If it's one, that's a win.
Yeah.
I was telling Amy, the Hawaii State Association of Counties has their conference in September. And they want to do a session on this too.
Oh, good.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. Maybe we need to tweak it. I think that's the question, right? This, we pick some like, up to $10 million, 5%, like, maybe those aren't the right numbers, but that's a good starting point.
Right, idea to biz, we are still checking in monthly with our non-accruing cohort. Some of the graduates are still working on securing contracts, including local procurement opportunities. One is exploring a brick and mortar location. And there's still in other incubators and accelerators and applying. Most of them are still doing their business. In the cohort 2, we're still in process of, recruiting facilitators for the next cohort, and then also working on sponsorships for programmatic costs too, and then also the seed fund. And stay open, so we are collaborating with Ready Zone HQ as a contractor to help us with the evergreen content of the website, workshops, and guidebook. They're pretty well versed in doing this locally. They've done it for other city departments, nonprofits, workshops in community, all of that. So that's all underway. So looking at a soft launch for our resource partners and potential resource partners, June 2026, late June, also including all of you folks and other key stakeholders. Public launch looking early July, with the first workshop being in August 2026.
So this is another example of nearly $250,000 with our match EBA funding coming directly to OER and going directly out to the community. We're not taking any admin, we're not taking anything out of it. Ready Zone HQ is a local company, and the folks who do the workshops will also be our OBC partners.
Just a quick, this is business resilience.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing. I'm really happy to see that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm even working on this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's been a long time coming. The procurement should held it up a little bit, but I'm really excited. It seems like a real need for businesses now, especially coming out of Honolulu. There wasn't really a centralized place for businesses to find resources, so hopefully it fills some of that gap. But also trying to work with other potential partners too. Even folks who just do business development, getting them to understand that what they do is resilience, even if that's not what they're thinking of it as. So hopefully it also widens their client pool too.
So this is George Yarbrough, our Economic Recovery Corps Fellow. He'll be here almost through the end of the year, but we've made some great progress on the Oahu Small Business Loan Fund. It launched on May 20th. We did do a video news release with CPB, Feed the Hunger, and one of Feed the Hunger's current business clients to talk about, how Feed the Hunger as a CDFI not only provides low interest loans, but that they also have the, the soft support, the technical assistance to wrap around touch points to make sure that in many cases, when they provide a loan, they have to see that a business was rejected by a traditional commercial or financial institution, and then they can support them. With this, we're targeting that same group, which is what CPB talked about in the press release, that this is a part of the pipeline for businesses that isn't currently filled here on this island. And so Feed the Hunger with our small loan loss reserve can fund now up to $200,000 total in loans. And those loans will be anywhere from $5,000 up to $50,000. As of last Friday, they had 30 applicants already. So we hope, whether it's a new cohort for community-based, what was it called that George got it? Community-based capital, that we could add to the loan loss reserve from that. As long as we get some operating funds this year, maybe we can put another $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to expand their loan capabilities. But it's off and running, and we will continue to provide workshops and updates. Right now, Alyssa is hoping that our sponsorship of the Made in Hawaii Festival, that we might do, a little workshop for them on this program as we lead up to the August Made in Hawaii Festival with the, what's the name of the organization? Slipping my mind.
HFI.
Yes, with HFIA. So finally, we're a paid sponsor of Made in Hawaii. So we'll have a table and provide workshops and be working with them closely this year. So good job.
The low loss reserves is 10%. You have to cover 10% of the loans they put out. How does that?
Our loan loss reserve is 40,000. So I guess that's 20% right now. Yeah.
And we get that back after the loans mature, like.
So we're keeping it, the way it's structured actually is we paid, Feed the Hunger a $5,000 administrative fee to run it. They didn't get a penny more, so we are actually just still sitting on the rest of the money. It's been encumbered though. And so it is, if anyone defaults, they provide us proof of the default and we pay it out.
So it's just. a
So it
liability.
stays here, it's basically, yeah, it's just to underwrite, like we hold the money, we had talked about the money and
Up
the
to
city
a
lawyers,
certain
up
amount.
to 40, right? So it's, but they felt like it's actually fairly rare for folks to, even with encouraging them to take on, this is first time loans, these are risky. They said it's, but I mean, we'll see. So I suppose it could be depleted if a lot of people default, but it's doubtful.
Yeah. The idea was to pilot, launch, see what we learn, and hopefully, figure out in iteration 2.0 what we might need to tweak. As Deb said, we have to work within the bounds of what Corporation Council and BFS proposes. We would have loved to have the revolving fund sitting there, gaining interest potentially, but what we ended up was a slightly different model, which Feed the Hunger fortunately was willing to work with.
Great, this is part of what you here are identified, right? First study that this was something lacking in this community and this access to capital, right? So it's amazing, it's a full circle.
Yeah, time, maybe.
Yeah, I need to hit the road. So George also continues outreach with different community-based organizations. Our hope for pilot initiative might be in coordination with the Mayor's Office on Culture and Arts. So kind of like a culture and arts incubator, probably along River Street where the city has, we've talked about many times before, a number of vacant properties. Just, for future thinking about that whole area, the mayor has for a long time wanted to see the revitalization of the Riverwalk. His work right now centers around working with the government of Taiwan on the Chinese Cultural Plaza and getting that rebuilt essentially. And that, it's a priority of his. He's had multiple meetings and had the Taiwanese government here. And we think the type of economic development projects that we could pursue in some of the adjacent vacant city properties would complement that and help people to understand what a new Chinese cultural plaza and more activation of the area could do in that community.
Do you want to rename it Taiwanese Culture Plaza?
That's the Taiwanese government. That's up to them. But I will leave you at this point And I think a few other board members, at least Kalani and Keone, will be joining at one.
Online.
Yeah, online.
Okay,
So it's just,
this is me.
Have fun presenting.
Have fun down there. I don't know if we talked about this before, last meeting. So, we are in the process of moving the Oahu Workforce Development Board. It's been administratively attached and floating to budget and fiscal, for the last 5 or 6 years. We were approached, but thought that it was a good idea to move it because it has really good alignment into our mission. So this is it's a 19-person board, and then currently there are 5 staff. And the responsibility of that board is there's about $4.5 million annually of federal WIOA, so Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funds that come, federal money that comes to the state and then out proportionally to the 4 counties. And then that board decides on the budget and sort of where things are going. There's federal metrics. And there's money in that both for adults, displaced workers, and also youth. So really it's job placement. So that's the American, currently it's Work Hawaii, right? Which is run by DCS, like another department in the city, which is a little bit of an interesting and weird dance that is done. Maui and Hawaii Island, there's the board that sits at the county government like ours. However, in those 2 counties, it's the programmatic work is done by Goodwill. It's bid out. So the board had decided, and there's currently an RFP for the work is out. Actually, proposals were due, I think, this week. So potentially the work would not be done by our sister county department anymore. We're not part of the bidding or anything, but that's the structure. So not actually implementing the work, it would be contracting it out either to DCS or Goodwill or I think the chamber said they were, different people may bid to actually do that, that work. I think there's a lot of potential for synergy as a group here on bigger workforce issues. One of the issues statewide is that Hawaii has been consistently underspending our workforce development money and returning it to the feds. So I think that's the crazy priority, I think, right? Like, we know there's need, and so, right, how are we making sure that we are, so we'll have some management of that board. So we're working on the reorg part, but likely more like July 1, the staff is going to move over. It is a question of if they're going to actually physically move in with us in our new space or stay where they are, or kind of what's going to happen with that team.
Are they going to expect the consolidation, this 5 employees coming over, or are they expecting us to take 4 and then we share some?
There is no expectation, and the chair of the board is not happy about this movement, and this is for off the record. It is Chris Lumley, whoever worked with Chris, he is.
Chris, the director, Hollywood director, Christine.
No, Chris Lumley is the chair of that board. Like in broadcast movies. I don't know. I'm not sure, but
And what was the reason? Did you give a reason why?
that they're not happy. I'm not sure. It's what? Yeah. Oh, there's one. I'm not entirely sure about it, but it's been interesting and dramatic. So we've had to
But it's happening.
we've had to involve our lawyers and things in some of the conversation, just to alert you all as well. What will be like your sister-ish board? Yeah, it's happening. The mayor already said it's moving May 1, and it's the mayor's board. They're all appointed by the mayor. And they're not subject to council approval. It's the mayor's 19-person.
Is there an analogy where the commission and commissioners that have independent board as part of their liana? Or is this?
It's similar on like Maui County and Hawaii Island. It's similar. There's a board and we've been talking to them about kind of how those things.
But that is not
They-
under commission, that
Mhm.
word.
Yeah, similar to ours, right? Those counties have commissions like this as well. So, I think it works well in those other counties that like you have like another group that's just solely focused on workforce development and what needs to happen as a component of economic development, but not.
And do we require, we are commissioners to be present at any of those meetings that just,
We don't right now, but I think in the future it might be nice to have some crossover.
I'm curious to know what our relationship should.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not sure at this point.
yeah, I think we're, I mean, I don't wanna speak for everybody, I'm sure we'd be open to supporting whoever.
yeah, there should be synergies,
Yeah.
but I also think, you can't have a board where they're under OER, that they just go and they fly blind from.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the questions is like, how autonomous are they? Like, are they just administratively attached and they do what they wish to do? Are they? So, we've asked the lawyers for, some guidance.
Yeah, keep us posted.
We shall. Stacy, I'm sorry. This is very tiny. This is just, our running list of funds that are coming in, funds that are still pending. So, a couple of new grants that have come in since the last time we met. 404. Okay, so the first one is small business technical assistance. It is a congressional earmark, we're not supposed to call it earmarks anymore. Congressionally directed spending is the first one, which we don't have the paperwork on it yet, but I'm guessing in the next fiscal year. So that was a broadly written earmark to support idea to biz, all of our business development could be the stay open Oahu. It's really just small business technical assistance and support. So great to give some more money there. A new $75,000 grant with MOCA, the Mayor's Office on Culture and the Arts, around placemaking and art that they're just kicking off. And then two new state tranches of funding around Kona loan recovery. So the large one is $4 million for the chamber is going to be administering for small business grants. And then the smaller one is $100,000 that we're going to have a number of community partners working on language access. So translation, but also community outreach. We'll have 4 or 5 community partners that are helping with the folks that are doing things like FEMA applications now, SBA applications, things like that. The language is a barrier. Those are the new ones.
And that pending one is looking pretty good.
We just submitted what last week? Just that, who knows? Someone who knows on it. And then Love Your Block is not gone in yet. Correct?
Well, those are 3 separate, not one.
It's 2 different ones. I think we ran out of space on the side. So the Umeke grant is for like placemaking tourism. And then I don't actually know, Stacy finds more than I do about Love Your Block.
Well, that's for sustainable. I think she's for Alex is working on the grants due June 1st. Opportunity and the layers of support.
I think it was on the more the ag rail is what they were working on. It's affiliated with Bloomberg, so it hasn't gone in yet.
There was an upcoming Bloomberg that we talked about on the call.
That's
Oh,
this
that's
one.
yeah.
Yeah, the Love Your Block is a Bloomberg one
Ah,
that they're working on still, so. I think still on that food access, public transportation is the theme, but I don't know the specifics of what is making it, I don't know. Question? Concern?
The Oahu tourism grants.
The strategic plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that? I don't know. Is that
Oh.
related to like HTA?
The 150,000?
Yeah.
So that was a council ad from this current year. from Councilmember Kiana
Okay.
to put together a Oahu tourism strategic plan. That's about all it says in there. And so we're just wrapping up actually the procurement on it. So can we say, I think, public, not yet.
Oh, I mean, we're
The vendor?
contracting based, so.
Not yet, okay, so not yet. And the council, the plan is supposed to be done by end of calendar year and reported back to council. So they're just picking the vendor now, the plan is to bring folks together with the others, the steering committee, Gil has talked about, but I think there isn't an Oahu tourism plan, there's like HTA has some things, I think the vibe, I know Andy was thinking was much more in that regenerative tourism, not necessarily like, we should spend millions of dollars on marketing, but.
I'm just curious because HCA spent millions of dollars going through each island actually doing regional specific tourism plans, regenerative.
Yeah.
Tourism plans, so
What more is needed?
I'm hoping that that's integrated into this, so that it's not like starting.
My understanding is that has been the plan, like to build off of that or to bring folks together and like. Implementing some of it perhaps, so,
So I was part of the focus groups, that's why I asked, it's so much in-depth interviews,
Yeah.
study.
so it'd be helpful if you have thoughts on what would be useful.
Yeah.
Why wasn't part of it? We are a lot of that city council funds being directed? I'm just concerned like if they're.
I mean, that was
Budget
this
issues.
current year, I think because. We're it and our one person is it for the city for who looks at tourism. I don't know where else it would get. Parked, I think, right, there's not another. Entity,
So we applied for the grant, sorry.
no, that one is a Esther Kiaina. Council ad.
That she directed.
We were gifted it or directed to do it. Is what it is. So I think we are definitely trying to make it into something worthy and useful. Right?
That's
I
the
think
concern. It's just
it was
making
not something that
useful.
came from the commission nor our office. It
Yeah.
was something that came from council member.
And does the move for the Oahu Workforce Development Board under us have any impact on our going forward budget?
Those positions move under us and that money moves under us. And if the rest of the office goes away, that makes it interesting or complicated.
Add some urgency, I guess. to-
Yes, I know their staff have said, what does this mean for us? And this was last week and my reply was, well, there will be some staff here regardless, and their money is entirely federal. So I said, you have there's no impact to you in this. Your federal money is just move over here.
It's
Thank you.
good update. There's some positive stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, there's a lot going on, as you can see.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of things in the hopper.
what is the Honolulu 4 million certainly?
Stay tuned with timing on the contracting for the chamber with the Honolulu money.
Oh, I mean, we're trying to push for it now.
We're trying to expedite as quick as possible, like in the next week or two. I mean, because
She already has like a pipeline of.
yeah, there's a plan in place, and because that money is supposed to go out the door to businesses before the end of August. So, yeah, so like quick, right? So, we're still under the emergency proclamation, so we're trying to really expedite the procurement.
For the next little bit.
Before hurricane season, yeah,
Which is supposed to be a doozy, right?
right? We said, get going, Alyssa needs to really get moving on this
Worse year
open
since
stuff, for like,
1977.
we needed it.
Yeah, thanks for that, posting that on Facebook.
The worse year than what? 1800s?
1977 was the last time the conditions, environmental conditions matched this current year.
Great,
So there'll be
You
a
did a
dozen
doomsday.
hurricanes.
Did you, and was it awful that year?
Oh, it was bad. Yeah, I looked at the local
Great.
newspapers.
Great.
And so drought next year, and then there's a dozen hurricanes coming this year. But we're in a part of the Pacific that it's pretty rare for us to get. It has to be a southern.
Right.
window. That's the only one's hit us. So those odds are not very good. But it'll be around.
And then a drought,
A drought next year,
so fire risk
unfortunately.
after all the massive rain followed by.
Yeah, I read the reports, like, wow, this is crazy.
Okay.
Why aren't we talking about this? Yeah. That wrote about it.
Back to that positive stuff.
Well, we're like good stuff happening here at
Twice,
we
yeah,
are.
there's-
Not doomsday. No, but I do think it doesn't, I mean, I think the Kona lows have really just, it makes that business resiliency and disaster prep just all the more important.
Can I ask a unrelated question, just out of curiosity? One of the council meetings, Councilmember Kiana had mentioned, CDBG funds. And is that an option for us, for OER, to use CDBG funds?
Yes, there's two different types and we're actually looking at both of them right now. So there's the regular CDBG, which is being managed by Department of Human Services. There's a lot of rules and regulations around CDBG. That's part of why I think there's some hesitancy because it's not just a easy to use pot of money. However, I think DCS is really open to like more partnership if we have ideas and projects that fit in that and that we can expend, because I guess historically the city frequently tried to do projects and could not execute in time on them, and then it just we had like returning money. The second tranche, which Amy and I have been in several meetings about already, is there's a special offshoot of CDBG that's for disaster recovery, like the longer term disaster recovery, and so we are in the brainstorming phase with Department of Human Services, because you have to then go to our congressional delegation for it. It does take a congressional act, but they got it for Maui. So it is the longer term money for some things like, it's pretty broad though, what it can be used for in like rebuilding economic infrastructure. It can even be used, some places have used it for farms, like to like get the soil back ready, where the soil can, re-energize the soil, rebuild the soil. A few places have actually used it for like tourism marketing campaigns, like come back to the North Shore kind of thing, that if that's an issue. So it really can be used, the regular CDBG cannot as much, but the disaster piece can use it in some ways a little bit more broadly but we have to make a case for it, like why we want, and it's gotta make it through Congress, so. But I think our plan right now is to put together some ideas and then discuss with the delegation and then see if we can get it through, so. I think if you have ideas on either front, if anyone on the commission does, we should put them forward.
No, the city doesn't use it most years.
Correct.
They don't use it up because it's complicated.
Because it's really hard to use, and if you don't follow all the rules, you might do the work and they, and they don't. There's real concern about that, because I think the city has messed things up before, where they've been left paying the bill, and the feds have said like, no, you didn't do it properly.
That's like the loan loss reserves, yeah, they get back to something.
Yeah, and then the city was left with a really large price tag on something.
It's a good idea.
So.
Yeah, it's something that you should think about. Maybe there's somebody locally that's like a specialist that understands CDBG funds. I don't know.
Like here.
You understand them? I think the folks at DCS have a pretty good handle on them, and that's some of their hesitancy is like, what meets the criteria that are, kind of narrow, and that we can actually execute on, like, with confidence.
So I know they get used on the continent a lot for like housing and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is also the same, but yeah, I don't know all the rules, but.
Yes, I know Amy's been like, we should get our hands on those monies somehow, so. Yeah. Alright. Thank you. Do we wanna wait? Do we wanna take a break and wait for Kimmy and? I think Deb's, it looked like Deb joined. Is Deb joined?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, Deb.
Hello.
Bonnie just.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay, so, board members online, commission members online, we cannot, be in an official meeting because we don't have quorum. So, we did just do kind of a discussion version of the executive director's report. And then, we're gonna do, some discussion on the strategic plan, but we can't vote on it today, just so you're aware.
Okay. Who else is on? Who else is on virtually?
Oh, Kalani's on.
Oh, okay, great.
I think I'm still technically a member of the public though, so.
Oh,
And then Keone is supposed to join, right? Anyone else?
Yeah, so we. I mean, it's really just sort of a check. Anyway. Should give it a couple minutes. Thank you guys for, reading for it.
Okay.
We're working on our resilience.
R is not resilient. Yeah.
Still going.
Do we have another commission meeting before the budget gets finalized?
No, budget's finalized,
Next one.
so it's 2 weeks.
Next. Commission meeting, 21st of
Yeah,
July.
until July, so. I mean, we'll see, you know, the mayor's been in meeting with. The chair. Sorting out a number of budget. Things. We will see. At this point, it's been beyond. That's what we need, and that's, I was like, at this point, it is someone out of our hands, Amy, it's really up to like the mayor and the director, Brett Doris, and then changing. Because there's a whole bunch of stuff that the administration doesn't like in the budget draft. So. I don't know. They have 3 budget chairs in 3 years.
We're all here.
No, we're all here. Okay, take it away, Josh.
Okay, let me just to catch you up real quick, we don't have quorum, so we can't vote on the strategic plan. But we are going to just have a discussion, you can ask questions of Josh, but I just wanted to make sure everybody is aware of it, we cannot vote on anything today. Okay, Josh.
All right. Well, so I was thinking about where we are. Who am I? Where am I? No, where we are with the plan, and I guess just this is probably clear to all of you, but I'll sort of back up to the beginning when we started this January, beginning of February. You know, slightly different political context, and the idea was really it would be a great idea to pull this plan together for OER and ERC, not starting from scratch in a planning process, but really taking a lot of the elements that OER had already pulled together and worked on building, you know, a more intentional plan, getting feedback from everybody, and doing kind of associated communications work internally and externally to make sure key stakeholders were clear on what OER is doing and why and all of its value. Very early on in the process, I guess also end of January, beginning of February, the audit report came out, and news about the audit report. So at that time, and of course, paraphrasing and perhaps oversimplifying, it was like, oh, good, even better that we're doing a plan. Because we already knew it was an important thing for us, but now, the auditor would like us to have one as well, so that was great. And then as we've gone, of course, the council budget, issues have come up, and so, whereas I think at the beginning, we didn't really contemplate the need for really the requirement of feedback from the managing director's office and council, and now as we've gone along, of course, it's become much more important. And so what I thought we could do today is I would just give you, I was thinking what could be most useful now that you all have seen 84 drafts of this, and we don't need to go through it all in detail again. I thought I would just give you kind of a quick update about where it is now and what has evolved since the March 31st meeting and draft that you all looked at. And then you all could probably tell me better than I could tell you sort of where things stand vis-a-vis kind of approval in the midst of waiting for budget finalization and so on. So I guess just at a real high level, and for those of you on Zoom, I apologize because I'm pointing at a flip chart that you probably can't see. We can send you a PDF of them afterwards if that's helpful. But really, I wanted to start with kind of just a recap of what this strategic plan is and what it isn't. So the idea is for it to be a shared 5-year strategic direction for OER and ERC. I'll say that I had been using the term strategic framework throughout, and part of that was because, we're not doing an in-depth long-term planning process where we're setting really clear benchmarks and goals for each of the strategic goals. And so I had been thinking of it more as a framework for strategic direction, and of course, more planning can happen over time. As we've gone through the process, we got feedback, including from the. Yeah, is there a question?
Yeah, Josh, sorry to interrupt. Is the April 28th version the most current?
No, so the most current is May 14. It was posted
Thank you.
along with the meeting materials.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's on the cover. It's dated May 14.
It's on the website too, our website.
Yeah, OER website has the link. With regard to the, I think of it as semantics, but it's perhaps symbolically a little more than semantics. Framework versus plan. The deputy managing director also emphasized, like, let's make this a plan. It's a plan. And so I am now calling it a plan. You'll see throughout. So, but really, it's to set strategic direction for OER and ERC for a 5-year period approximately. It's taking this, broad strategic mandate of the city charter and really trying to translate that into a framework and action plan. With a framework for implementation, accountability and learning, even though it is not, as I'll get to, a detailed work plan for how all of this gets put into practice. It is really meant to be a tool, to align with the SEDS, the Economic Development District, and all related city priorities. And throughout we've talked about this word durability. We also want it to be something that, if it got too specific in terms of work plan, it would constantly be shifting and changing. So we wanted this plan to be something that's durable over time. And there are things that have come up during the process, like the Workforce Development Board coming under OER that we have referenced specifically in the plan. And those are the types of examples, I think, of stuff that's going to come up constantly, and so we wanted to make it so that the initiatives and the strategic priorities and the objectives will remain the same, essentially, even when new things just provide kind of a lens to look through. It's not a list of every city initiative having to do with economic development or economic revitalization. Sorry, Alyssa, I'm like pointing.
It's okay, it's okay.
My wife was always reminding me, "Stop pointing at me." So I'm like feeling nervous about pointing over here. It's also not a commitment, that everything is gonna stay exactly the same. In fact, it's trying to make really clear this is meant to be something that can roll with new initiatives that come up. So pause real quick. Any thoughts or questions just about what this is or isn't? I just wanted to recap kind of how the plan works. So the way we've laid it out is that there are these 5 broad strategic goals. The plan makes it really clear, and I think this is something that has been strengthened tremendously through the revising process. I think Keone has really led the charge in terms of giving great feedback and language to use about implementation being something that is coordinated by OER. OER being, an economic integrator. It's not doing all of this solo, so it's coordinated implementation across city departments, lots of different partners, programs, and initiatives. There are the outputs. What is OER and its partner doing, towards implementing these strategic goals? Outcomes. So what changes as a result of the work for participants, businesses, communities? How will we know what has changed? By looking at community indicators. So it gives a sense of the data that can be used to track what has changed and what progress is being made. And then building in this idea of constant kind of learning and adaptation so that we can adjust and adapt as we go. So all of it just underscoring OER being the city's economic integrator, coordinating, aligning, strengthening work across systems and partners. So that's how the plan works. Really, the main way that the plan has evolved since the March 31st meeting is everything's gotten flushed out and clarified. So it's now a full 5-year strategic plan. It is no longer a strategic framework. We have refined the performance framework, further defined the implementation structure, namely around this coordinating, integrating function. Stronger accountability framework, just in terms of making clear that the commission, will be reviewing progress on the plan, as well as public reporting on how things are going, and just greater governance clarity. So, in March 31st, we talked about here's where we are with the plan. It's going to evolve and expand until we're finished with it. That's kind of where we are. I just wanted to highlight, some areas where refinements have been made. So just further clarifying the role of the city or OER and ERC vis-a-vis the city, state and federal and private partners. Strengthening OER's strategic role. So just to highlight a couple of areas, some of the feedback we got, I think Eliza gave some really great feedback, as well as coming from some of the council members really wanting to underscore OER's role in policy development and supporting policy development. So that is clearer now. The managing director's office really emphasized the barrier reducer function. So in the coordinating and integrating, just really trying to remove barriers for individuals, for communities. And then, as I said, the coordinator integrator function is really emphasizing that throughout. As an integrator and coordinator, OER is not duplicating the work of other city agencies, state agencies, nonprofits, private actors. And then again, as we've talked about throughout economic revitalization, it's not just growth and recovery. It's about improving quality of life, affordability, resilience, opportunity, etc. And then lastly, I just wanted to emphasize there's some revisions to try to just kind of orient the plan in relation to the broad domains laid out in the charter. So I was even thinking about this, Eliza, your question about the tourism strategic plan and you know, why OER. And of course, you know, generative tourism is one of the domains in the charter. So the plan makes it clear that OER has not gone really deep in every one of the domains. The idea is, as a relatively new office, to continue to expand into the mandate laid out by the charter. And then I just wanted to give you the current snapshot of the 5 strategic goals. The language is a little clearer now. The deputy managing director gave some good feedback on you know, just wanting things to be more readable and clear to folks who aren't as familiar with jargon. So we tried to use clearer language and yeah, make it more readable. Make sure everything was aligned with current OER work and make sure the strategic objectives are clear. So that's kind of where we are in a snapshot. I think we're essentially in a little bit of a holding pattern. Number one, no quorum, can't vote on it anyway. Number two, I think things are a little bit in flux just in terms of whether there will be more feedback about the plan. So I think between now and whenever the commission is thinking about voting to approve, it may, the plan may get revised yet again. We'll see, and we'll let you know. I apologize sort of for all of the iterations of the document, because that's just the way the process has evolved. So you know, I know it's long and it's hard to read it every time there's a revision. But that's why I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of what has changed over time. So I think that's it.
Review the strategic goals, just the.
Yeah, sure. So on the 5 strategic goals. So the first is strengthen community well-being and resilience. I'll just read the little blurb for each one. Strengthen economic conditions that support community well-being, land stewardship, and long-term resilience with a focus on the economic dimensions of resilience and sustainability. The second strategic goal is to expand economic opportunity for all, expand access to economic opportunity so that all people and communities can participate in and benefit from Oahu's economy. The third strategic goal is expand workforce pathways, build workforce pathways aligned with Oahu's current and emerging economic needs. Goal 4, strengthen local community economies, support cultural, environmental, and place-based economic activity that strengthens community life and reflects Oahu's unique identity, while anchored in place-based vitality. Regenerative tourism also functions as a cross-cutting strategy that supports sustainability, workforce development, and innovation across multiple goals. And number 5, support innovation and entrepreneurship. Foster creative, entrepreneurial, and innovative ecosystems that drive a resilient and adaptive economy.
Josh.
Yes, sir.
So these 5, it sounds like you use slightly different language to make it, like there's place-based being used other places. So are we going to make that consistent across the document? Like I did notice like there's other places that talk about that with different language.
Okay, yeah, we can continue to, yeah, because as it changed, I tried to make sure things were consistent.
So the goal was to standardize on these.
Yeah, to use, yeah, this language for the goals, and then I think, yeah, in areas where I was expanding on that, if there are places you see that.
There are a couple I can send you.
Yeah, sure.
And then do these cover all of the founding domains of the charter?
They definitely provide kind of an umbrella for all of them.
So they all fit somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so if you take, for example, domains, so there are the 8 domains, right? If you take, for example, film and entertainment, I mean, it's like, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there are any current initiatives that relate to that specifically, or?
But she's gonna start.
Technically, the film office is.
So technically the film office is attached to it. Okay, well, there you go. That pretty much hits the nail on the head, right? But I guess my point was just gonna be that they all would fit.
They land somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big umbrella.
Do we say that in the plan, that the film office is part of the R? There's mentioned,
I actually don't know if that's mentioned. I don't think
we
so.
probably should.
Putting in the workforce.
Yeah,
development.
and of course, development board.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, workforce development board is.
Yeah, so, yeah, so the Hawaii Film Office is.
It's a priority of the state legislation, so it's worth mentioning.
Their positions are in the current budget.
Huh.
It'll be Amy and the three film office people.
Yeah, we'll find a way to make sure it's mentioned. I don't think it is mentioned.
That is a priority.
And the other thing that I was just curious about is like, the measure things, are we gonna have any baselines in the plans?
So there are not baselines in this document, so I'm not sure. I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, like, how do we measure success, right? What are the metrics?
Where are we starting from?
Yeah, I mean, there's so, yeah, two different questions, right? Where are we starting from? Not clarified in the document. And I think the what change looks like and how the community level indicators that were raised in the process as the way we would be able to look and see if there was change is laid out. They're not specific, benchmarks, the type of change that we're trying to create. And that's where, I've been thinking of it as it's a framework. Because I think the type of process that we would go through, that would lead us to, identifying the types of the specific changes we're trying to create would be a much longer and more in-depth process than we contemplated. And by the way, I mean, and this is something I think Greg Kim kind of raised from the very beginning, like, why aren't we doing that planning process? And I think that's a fair question. It's just, we're not at the moment, and so, but it's something that can absolutely happen over time, and I imagine it will happen. Any of you guys online have questions? or
Yeah,
thoughts?
I mean, I like the revisions. Thanks for taking in the feedback. You know, throughout in the plan, it says that, progress is going to be tracked with baseline data and target outcomes and regular reporting. The word in the appendix that kind of caught my attention was illustrative. It says illustrative indicators include, and I just kind of feel like it kind of weakens our positionality and our accountability. And so I would just say initial indicators, because, and then you can reiterate it and say in that paragraph or whatever that OER will refine baselines and targets and reporting cadence through annual, I don't know, work planning, budgeting, and commission review, something
Yep.
like that.
Yeah, I like that.
I caught all of that.
So he was pointing out that in the appendix, the intro to the performance measurement framework, that we say that the framework includes illustrative indicators, and he was making the point that word kind of weakens it a little bit, and to just change it to initial indicators, and then we can further define them and in benchmarks and so on through ongoing review.
And then Josh, the other one I would say is just be more clear about periodic reporting.
Yeah,
You could say
Periodic.
something,
Yes.
at least annually, we will provide
yeah,
performance updates, whatever.
Yep, got it, thank you.
But overall, I think where we're at is, I feel good to move forward with this. I think the biggest thing was getting clear about like the non-duplicate, not being duplicative, and really getting clear about our role as a integrator and facilitator. I think that's really strong in these updated drafts. Because the thing we don't want is them to think like we're a traditional economic development agency, because we're not. And I don't want to be held to that kind of like that mental model creates a certain kind of thinking and expectation. So we need to be very clear about the role.
It's like Keone's in the water and Kalani's in the mountain. If he looks out, he can see. Mountain to the
Where's
sea.
Dad?
Deb, did you have any thoughts? Lonnie?
No, I sort of read the wrong version, so I'll go read the May version now. But I think generally, yep, louder. Is this better?
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's our speakers.
Yeah.
Ah, got it.
We're trying to.
What's on here?
You have to change the output.
Yeah, just.
Is that better?
Alani has never been one to have quiet voice.
I can move closer.
You guys can hear us?
Oh, when you were like louder, I was like, are you sure?
Here, we
There we go.
fixed it.
There we go.
Okay, great. I was like, I don't think I've ever been asked to be louder. No, I read the wrong version, so I will go back and read the updated May version. I will say that I think the changes, Josh, that you described at the opening of this are consistent with a lot of the questions that I had from council members. I had the opportunity to meet with 6. And so I think I got a pretty good handle of where I think they are. And I think in particular, accountability was one, and then clarity of purpose of the office and what we do were the 2 really big, consistent questions that I heard throughout. Obviously, different council members had different concerns, as they all will and should. But I think for me, sort of stepping into this midstream, the providing municipal services and all the things that the county does, and then thinking about what Keone just shared about not boxing ourselves into a traditional sort of economic development office, I think is important. And then I think I'm holding curiosity still for what the charter means in relationship to this strategic plan, because that was something that came up a lot too, that the opening provisions of the charter about like coordinating and pulling down federal and other funds is something that I think is sticking out for several of them. So that's where I'm holding curiosity still. And
Yeah,
then maybe just to clarify as a member of the public.
I feel like this aligns with the intentions of the charter and what it dictated for this office. But I think it's bigger than that. It's actually more than that. And I think I don't know if it's something we want to build into this or how we share it, but like get folks excited that this is an innovation in approach. That 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 with this. Like I think we all share frustrations about efficiency and effectiveness and you know, that the institution of the city, you know, really meets the needs and builds trust and such with its constituents and its beneficiaries. And I think this kind of more holistic integrator strategy like really takes into account like addressing concerns that folks within the city and like the constituents have about this institution, and it allows us to all be better together if it's done right. So like at some point I'd really like to like lift up what's exciting about this and innovative about this instead of like being totally focused in on compliance. This is way more than compliance.
Yeah, I'm hoping, Keone, that, as we get into sort of the communications side of this, that we can get back to that, because, as you were saying that, I was thinking at the beginning of this process, it felt more like what you're describing. And then I think just because of the coinciding with the budgeting process and politics, it started to feel more like compliance and a defense of the office as opposed to what I think it really is, which is what you're describing. It is innovative and it's a multiplier, not like we're just checking boxes. The communications portion of this, is something that we had hoped we'd be well underway with, but for one, the iterations of the plan have delayed it, and also just, the where to focus on communications has been a bit of a moving target. I think we're entering into a phase now where hopefully we'll be able to be clearer about the key audiences and the different types of messaging that is necessary and so more to come on that.
Procedural question. Do we have to vote at these commission meetings or are we allowed to do email votes?
You mean like on the strategic plan, can we do it via email?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
You need to have sunshine.
Oh, sunshine, probably.
So I have a different procedural question than we want to think. So initially, Amy and I had wanted to get a pretty tight draft. And then our thinking around it had been that we wanted to then in some way share it with city council members and maybe some other stakeholders for input before it's final, like to bring it to them. And then things were just delayed and with all the budget pieces and just timing. We're kind of now at now. And I think we're hesitant to take it to city council right now, like until the budget, just does not seem like the time to right now be like, and here we did, right? So that takes us for another like 2 weeks until we sort of see how the budget pencils out. But I guess my question would be, is there other input, like what should we do before finalizing? Because that had been our original timeframe, was get some feedback from them, bring it to you all to then do a final vote with that input. So that felt important. I don't know, to us, is it still important or?
So I think the conversation that Olin and I had with Amy Friday, was that once the commission members feel comfortable with the plan, and I don't know when that is, and frankly, I don't feel like I want to rush that because I want everyone to feel really comfortable and stand behind it. That we would take out parts of it that we thought were especially relevant to certain council members and share the plan, the entire plan with them, but also highlight the portions that are relevant to them, things that they've asked for, that they care about. And say, hey, here's the plan. We are here if you want to meet with us. We'd love to talk to you about it. We'd love to get your input, please, but also, give them a deadline. And I think that was kind of what we thought might work best, is to just say, hey, we're open to this conversation. We want to include you. What do you think? And then if they do, they do, great. And if not, then they don't. But right. I'm not sure at this point. I will be honest with my fellow commission members here. I have personally had conversations with council members, and I know Amy has, and Kalani has. A lot of us have tried to do what we can, and I think at this point, we need to do what feels right in our gut, right, in our heart about this. And there's gonna have to be some innovation. To Keone's point, this is a big picture, long-term plan, and we need to see it that way. But there's also this immediate need of the council members want us to zero in on DPP and fix the permitting and fix, do more federal grants, and all of those things are valid. And so I think we're in a bit of a tough spot here right now, because we have to be cognizant and prioritize their priorities. But we also do have to create a plan that has a vision and a long-term scheme for the office. So I guess all that to say, I don't know if I answered the question, but all that to say, like, I just want to throw that out to all of you guys, I think we need to make sure we're saying that we want to address council member priorities in the plan and that we understand that the barriers with DPP make it so businesses can't open, things like that. But also, is that our long-term vision? Absolutely not. Like that, there's bigger things that we're trying to do, right? Sorry, that's just kind of my tangent, but Lonnie has a hand raised.
Yeah, thanks. And again, I apologize because I'm coming into this midstream. And I'm also still sort of dancing around being a member of the public. But my conversations with the council members in going through my confirmation process, I think for me, maybe the advice I have is to show them this as soon as possible and in advance of that final budget meeting, because I think a lot of the concerns that may impact their vote may be addressed in this plan already. And so, Eliza, I don't know if you guys took the draft to them already or not, or, I think you guys said waiting for the commission to feel good about then going to them. But I think my gut is saying take it to them as soon as we could so that they can feel like they're being heard, that then may sway a vote or may imply, may impact how they vote.
If you think that will help, I mean, what is because I know the managing director had a different perspective, but what do you know? What do you think?
I think his concern was the timing on like, are we just trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat? Like, look, we're answering I'm not sure. And I think we wanted to check in with you all today anyway, it's so close. Like, do we feel like this is at the point to shop it around? Like, I don't think we didn't feel comfortable doing that.
But to your point, Liza, I don't see in the plan a responsiveness to the city council. So is that something that you were suggesting they're asking for and that we should be putting
Like
in?
a direct response.
Yeah, I think we need to say that we want to meet with the council regularly and make sure that their district priorities are our priorities when they arrive.
Within our, we gotta, that we can co-align with them. Because you're on the ground and you're hearing from folks. I don't know where that would go, but I agree that that's missing. This is missing. And if we come with what we have now, that might not flash back.
Tony, what do you think? Do you think we should shop it now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we started this work before the budget issues became present. And so can show that we've been working at this, that we recognize this, and we want it to be clear and accountable to what the purpose and function of this office is. And engage them as collaborators. Part of our thing is about facilitating key stakeholders, and they're key stakeholders. So, show them the draft and like that, we want to get their input on it before it's taken to a final vote. So to really show accountability and collaboration. Again, how you frame it in offering it is gonna matter, right? That, this is not we're gonna pull the rabbit out of the hat to try to just convince you, like this work has been ongoing for months prior to these discussions. And that this is the intent of the commission and the office. And we've been working diligently at it and in the spirit of the integrator role and facilitator role, like really engaging them as a key stakeholder in all of this. And what feedback do they have on this draft, and what are ways that we can better ensure over time that they have the ability to provide input into things that we're going to be doing that's important to them and their districts, in a way that's participatory and not directive.
And I maybe would just add that, inclusion of their priorities as council members shouldn't be framed as transactional, right? But more the integrated sort of collaborative piece that Keone is talking about. So I do agree that the framing is important, but I do think it would go a long way to show that the office is thinking about what the future looks like and then being responsive to the concerns of the council. Because at the end of the day, they're the bank, right? And so if we don't have their support, kind of toast, right? So I think we got to figure that out.
Might be good to put a cadence in there as well, because that's one thing that the plan doesn't do, and it's more a framework, you said, Josh. But if we're gonna be checking in with them, I think it'd be good if we could make that pretty clear. If we can have annual check-ins or something that. That was the feedback we got too.
Yeah.
You guys don't come talk to us.
What, so this question is coming from thinking it won't be hard at all to get language in there to frame the meeting the council regularly and addressing district concerns and so on, or you don't want to make promises you're gonna address their district priorities, but yeah, framing it appropriately. But in terms of a cadence, because Keone mentioned before, sort of at least annually, I think that wasn't about checking in with council, it was more sort of reporting on progress of the plan and not over promising with, too frequent cadence, so doing it at least annually. If there was gonna be a cadence for council, is there a particular venue where that would generally happen, and what would the cadence for that be? Or is it something where you'd be setting up separate meetings?
It could be either, right? It could be info briefing at the subject matter committee meetings, both, right? And it could be meeting with the council members.
Yeah, so I guess it's just a question of how specific. We can try something, see what it looks like, but I know time is so fast, so I can get something in there today, you guys can see what it looks like.
It's a 5-year plan, so we don't meet with them at least annually. Seems like we're not gonna be very responsive to much.
And that's part of the feedback to get from them, right? Like, when annually to check in with them or whatever. Like they have a calendar and a schedule of things, how the process moves for them, and is there like an opportune time to engage with them in that calendar cycle? And again, to balance like it being too onerous of a schedule on our side and not like over committing.
Lonnie, when you met with the 6, was that all independent meetings?
Yeah, individual. Yep.
For that, wow, that took some time.
But it was really good. It was really, I think, helpful to me to just sort of see where their heads were at and where, their priorities are and what's important to them. So I think it was really good.
So I'll make some of these changes, I'll do it in red line, or I'll just call out specifically where the changes were, and I'll send them to how this works. I'll send them to you.
Yeah.
You and E, and then you guys can share it however it needs to be shared. And then just let me know if there's additional revisions you want or tweaks of the language that I put in there.
I think with the number of commissioners we have, we can, some of us can take one meeting a year, right? Coordinate that and then bring that to the following meeting. Just make sure that we uplift some of these ideas that are being said. Yeah, not a bad thing.
So that, can you share with managing director the commission's proposal to shop the plan?
Yep.
As soon as Josh is ready.
Yep.
And make sure he's okay. And
Yeah. And if it'll help speed it along, I'll go home after this and I'll make the changes, so if I get it back to you today, you could actually go to it with
Yeah.
the say, yeah. He's gonna be super stoked to look at the document.
Sure. So maybe you could just highlight the changes.
Yeah.
So you can- yeah.
And then are we gonna pull out something shorter for the council?
Yeah, like for Topola, she was very concerned about us being a policy driver, so I feel like we should pull that one and like that one. And yeah, I think there's ways to do that.
And that language did go in response.
Yeah, read it.
But yeah, I mean, some sort of cover piece
Something
that,
or other,
yeah.
yeah.
that speaks directly to that as a audience.
And maybe in the email, however we want to send the email request, I'm assuming you want permission to send the email to the council with the plan. Yeah,
I don't think it's like that's the commission's.
I think so.
responsibility.
Could you, because of Sunshine, could you facilitate the conversation about how that email is structured, like what we say in the email? Because I would like to get their input on what we are saying in the email to invite the council to review the plan.
And how do we want to get feedback from them?
From
Council members. And then we'll email it out to, assuming the managing director's okay, email it to them.
We can split up too, like, you're not take meetings. We can
Meetings
ask
with
about-
them,
We can
like,
offer
phone
meetings.
calls, you wanna offer a meeting with, I don't wanna offer your time without your.
I'm fine with it. I think we can offer for them to come to the next commission meeting and talk to all of us. I mean, you know,
Actually, that's a good thing, like, that's the default, maybe at the next commission meeting.
Come
Bring
and join us, that's in July, right, July?
July 21st.
I think that would be the best.
Come and join us for a discussion.
Okay.
I don't wanna, how do we, here's the plan, we welcome, we love feedback and input, but what's the mechanism?
Cool. Yeah, maybe you have the best charts. Do you use the coloring that smells too, like grape and orange?
Yeah,
and
I'm
lime?
only using Mr. Sketch, so.
Okay.
I was facilitating a meeting a couple weeks ago, and I had all my pens, there was only one dark blue. And I pulled it out, and I did my usual, like, it was a blueberry, and it was a Sharpie instead of my Mr. Sketch, I was so offended. I was like, let's get up here. I just bought a new set this weekend, it makes me so happy.
Okay. So your plan?
Did I hear that correctly? Next meeting, July 21st?
Yeah.
And then what time? Sorry, I just want to block it on my calendar so I don't miss it again.
Noon to 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, Kalani, can you guys send him the invite?
yes,
For all the
I think we
meetings?
have it because he's not
Yeah.
official, I will add.
Yeah.
him.
I'm just gonna block my calendar just in case.
Yeah, just so you have
That's
it.
what happened with today too. I was like, oh snap, it's today.
In the
Here at
process.
1.
When are you official, Kalani? What's the final? We have.
My understanding is I go to the full council vote on the June 3rd meeting.
There you go.
Okay.
So I passed committee already.
That's the, okay,
That's not the budget day.
yeah.
It is, it's the same meeting.
Hopefully you're
That'll be fun, that'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're not voting to approve the plan today, I feel like, right? We're just moving into the next, which is still in the process we laid out originally, which is why I don't think we need a vote. It's like, what? Are we altering what next?
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Since it's not an official meeting, we're free to stay or go.
Okay, mahalo.
See you guys.
Guys.
Follow. Oh, this is a good meeting.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for our work on it.
Yeah.
It's been,
No, I mean, it's
always a journey.
just roll with it. Yeah. Went along.